Hello there, Unlearners. Welcome to this episode of the Unlearners podcast with myself, Zanele Njapa, the Unlearning Lady. Thank you so much for choosing to be here. We continue our season all around rethinking education and thinking really about how we learn and how individuals learn, but also what are the key shifts that we need to make across the spectrum of education stakeholders, whether we're talking private sector, public sector, we're talking in the classroom, we're talking teachers, we're talking parents. Everyone, how do we all start to really recreate, rebuild what we know education to be so that it actually serves our society and our world better? And today we're having the conversation about whether ChatGPT is going to teach your kids. And it probably is already, hey, who knows? But maybe let's chat a little bit about that. What are the key concerns around AI? How do we integrate? How do we think better about it? But also, what are just some of the probing questions that we can start to ask as we think about that beautiful integration of the digital world of tech and learning, with whether it's in the classroom or just entirely. But I think today we're going to really focus in on our children and what I know so many parents are going through, which is just that influx of, if you look from, and people now don't like to talk about COVID, but if you look from COVID all the way up until now, going into the 2030s forward, we're really going to be able to see a huge spike in the influence of technology on young people, how they're growing up and how they're learning. So my guest today goes by the name of Nicky Verd. She is an author, a futurist, and really someone who helps individuals to think about the integration of technology, but also around the future. The Unlearners. Learn, change. Learn, change. The Unlearners. The Unlearners. The Unlearners. Learn, change, grow. Nicky, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Zanele, for having me. I appreciate the invitation.
It is an absolute pleasure to have you, hey, and to have this discussion that's so pertinent at the moment. As far as this podcast has gone already, and our unlearners will know, if you haven't already been watching and listening to other episodes of the podcast, I strongly encourage that you do so, because they all tie in so beautifully with each other. We've spoken everything around the actual differentiation or relationship between skills and qualifications. We've spoken around alternative schooling. So it's all just this beautiful tapestry of insights and information. But where I want to start with this discussion, Nicky, is what do you suspect is the biggest danger around AI? What are you seeing is the biggest danger that AI is posing towards or to how we teach our children?
That's quite a big question.
Sorry to just throw you in the deep end.
Really right in the deep end, right? But artificial intelligence, education, and on learning as a topic, if we can start from there, the topic of what you're covering, your podcast, I absolutely love it, because on learning is something that I speak to very so often, because if the world is changing and we stick to the old way of how things used to be and we are not willing to unlearn, we are literally stuck, right? So I used to tell people, learning is not the problem. Unlearning is the problem. Many people go learn and learn and learn and learn. They want to upskill learning. They go back and they get another degree, or they get another PhD. But few people are actually unlearning. Few people are actually looking at what is it that no longer serves me, even in their careers or their personal lives. Few people are actually taking that step back and like, what is it that no longer serves me? And am I willing to unlearn this? Or how do I unlearn this behavior? How do I unlearn this thought pattern, right? So when I saw the whole idea around, I was already excited about the whole idea. Like, okay, this is my kind of conversation. This is my kind of lady. I absolutely love this type of trajectory that you are taking with your podcast. And I think that people need to pay attention to it, because in this age and time, unlearning is actually much more powerful than just learning, because you need to unlearn, make room for the new things to come in, right? So with that being said, back to the big question you've just thrown at me, what is the biggest challenge with artificial intelligence when it comes to our children?
Yeah.
there are so many layers to this, right? I think of to start off with, I would say that one of the biggest challenges that we're not taking it seriously enough. People just think that this is like another technology that has always been, and it will just be easy to integrate or easy to embrace and accept and all of that. So people have not really seen the full picture of how disruptive this technology is. So for me, that in itself is a danger. The fact that you do not understand how big, let's call it an enemy, this enemy is that you are facing. And so when you underestimate something or someone, you are at a disadvantage because you think, oh, it's just another trend. Oh, it's just another technology. And I guess we will just adapt, but not really looking at how this is really impacting every sector and how it's going to impact our children, right? So on one hand is that people are not taking it seriously enough. On the other hand, it is that the way it is impacting our children, before we get to the education side, right? The way it is impacting kids. I recently was reading an article about a kid who had developed this relationship with AI, talks to AI as if they're talking to a person, you know, and we all have felt that like, oh, this sounds like a human being, but this is not human, right? So it is not going to respond to certain things in a way a human being will. So this kid had developed, the parents of the kid actually sued the AI company, right? But the story is that this kid had developed a very intimate relationship with this artificial intelligence, so to say, virtual girlfriend, to say. And they had grown so close and they would talk, and this kid would chat with this chatbot and all of that. And it came to the point where like, I need to meet you, I need to see you. And the solution, the AI solution would be, okay, I guess you will have to come see me by unaliving yourself. You know, that was the solution. Now, most humans will not react like that. But this is artificial intelligence. Based on how you prompt it, it's going to give you some very bizarre responses. And now, a teenager who is just getting used to this whole love thing and the hormones are there and all of this, they can't think through like, oh, if I kill myself, will I actually see this chatbot, this virtual person I've been talking to? Somehow kids being kids and their minds still developing, they kind of believed in this fantasy that, okay, I think if I do kill myself, I can actually see this virtual girlfriend that we have develop such a deep conversation with. So when the kid had actually, committed suicide, so to say, and the parents had then gone to search what happened, and they came across all of these conversations. The case is, I think, still currently ongoing, but these are some of the dangers that we need to start educating our kids in terms of understanding that as much as this sounds human, it is not human. As much as the responses can feel like you're talking to an actual human being, it is just code. This is just coded. It's just coded, and it is just pattern. It's following a certain pattern on how would a human respond in this? How would a human respond in this? And in certain cases, it goes completely offline and say things that a human being would not say. So teaching our kids that this is not human, I think that is really where we need to start from, because kids are going to think they're talking to an actual person. Because it sounds so real. Even many adults think they're talking to an actual person. Then what more of kids, right? That their brains are still developing and they are so impressionable. So one of those big dangers is that we need to start making the distinction that as much as this sounds like human, this is not a human being. It doesn't have a conscience. It doesn't have a heart. It doesn't respond to things that normal human beings would respond to in real life. So for me, that's one of the dangers.
And it doesn't empathize and all of the things that the human
it can simulate empathy, but it really doesn't know what that feels like in the real world, right? It doesn't know what it feels like to really be in love. It can write you a love poem, but when it really comes to love, this thing has no idea what it feels like to be in love. It has no idea the anxiety, the highs and the lows that comes with all of that, but it can write you a perfect love poem and you'll be like, oh, I think I'm talking to a human here. That's the danger. And it's not just kids, believe me, even as adults are falling prey to this, to make that distinction between a machine and an actual human being.
Thanks, Nikki. I think that that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Because what I'm hearing from what you're saying is the education is a big part of it.
Absolutely.
Especially when you are someone who is responsible for a child, whether you're a guardian, whether you are a teacher, whether you're a parent. Your biggest prerogative is just educate yourself around what you're actually facing. Because a lot of the time, like you say, these are language learning models.
Yeah.
They are literally a whole lot of big data put together, squished together, and taught how to mirror, how to talk back to you.
Absolutely.
And then, like you say, simulate all of those things. And then you do then fall into the trap. And I remember reading that story. It's catastrophic.
It is.
Catastrophic story around what happened to that particular young boy. But it's such a great example of exactly how big the problem is. And one of the things that you made me think as you were speaking, Nikki, is the story of how a lot of these young people that are falling prey to this, we find because they have grown up in a very, very low touch environment, high tech, low touch, but also tech for them is touch, and so they have a level of isolation from their peers already. So there is a heightened trust of tech and a very low trust of others. So I'm already engulfed in this world. I don't trust anyone else anyway. So it's not like with you and I were like, no, I know this person, I know that person, and I don't really know this thing, you know. You already have a relationship outside of it. They don't quite. These are digital natives. All they've known is tech. And it's a very different, I think almost the approach would need to be different because they wouldn't understand it in the perspective of a Gen X or even a millennial or even a Gen Z. Who might not have started off with tech as much in their specific context. So I think there's a lot to speak about there, especially when it comes to, okay, what is the responsibility then? What does the integration of the two look like? So what have you seen as a great starting point for individuals, whether they're parents or maybe just guardians, who are thinking about how do I then leverage the beauty of artificial intelligence in teaching my child how to use it, how to take advantage and leverage it, but also how do I protect them and make sure that we're still, you know, working with those boundaries as well.
Absolutely, and it's a thin line to thread really when you look at it, because like you rightfully said, these are digital kids born in the digital world. All they know is either social media, TikTok or whatever. That is what they're familiar with. So in a sense, they're already familiar with speaking to virtual friends, people that they would never met in their life. So a chatbot is just an addition to these virtual friends, right? And parents just need to be able to educate the kids that as much as it sounds human, again, back to my point, it is not a human being. But one of the dangers also is that most parents don't even want kids to have access to this, which also is a problem in itself, because this is a tool that is already in the world today. If you protect your kids, I mean, protection does not completely mean cut off, right? It's to teach them this is how you do it, rather than completely shielding them from that world, because you're not helping at the end of the day. This kid is just somehow living under the rock by the parents and being told don't use these tools or don't have access to these tools or not given access to these tools. And now when you do not teach them or allow them to have access to these tools so that they can make their own mistakes sometimes and learn from those mistakes, it means that at a later stage in life, maybe what they could maybe navigate it and learn certain lessons while they were kids, they will be now forced to learn them as adults, so to say. But it even goes right back to the education system, right? So it's not just some parents that are shielding the kids from having access to these tools. It is also the education system, right? Which is one of the key conversations I think we're going to be having on how certain universities, even primary or secondary schools, they are making sure that kids don't have access to artificial intelligence. You know, they call it cheating. In a way, now to define cheating is kind of a tricky situation,
this is the other
right?
thing, right? Yeah.
So in the right sense of it, innovation is supposed to be coming out of the education system into the world, because we are preparing these young people for the future. These are supposed to be future leaders, future business innovators, and all of that. But then innovation comes outside of the world and is trying to penetrate the education system, and the education system is like, no, we don't want you here. So that's the approach that certain education systems have taken, or certain universities have taken, that no, we do not want our students having access to these tools. But then the question becomes, how are you going to train the kids for the new world if they are not going to have access to the tools that are being used in the workplace today? Because there is no company today, I don't know, maybe they are, but there is really no company today that does not have some sort of artificial intelligence already interacting with that organization, right? And even if there are those companies that don't have it right now, it's only a matter of time before they adopt the technology, right? So if we're going to train the future workforce without access to these tools, how are they going to function in the real world? That's one big question that the education system perhaps need to find a way. How do we answer this, and then how do we balance this, right? And because AI can do so much, if we keep AI out of the school system and continue doing education the way it has always been done, things have changed, right? But education system somehow remains the same. iPhone changes every year. They give us a new a new number every year, which is a story on its own. I mean, a conversation in its own for a different conversation, right? But these are things that are happening. We update our phones very often. We look at even computers have changed. They were from the when they started. It used to be like an entire room like this one. For a single computer, they have grown smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. We have laptops. We even have mini computers that look like a cell phone, right? So things have consistently changed and evolved, but somehow the education system is pretty much the same. Or how it's always started. A bunch of kids sit in one class, one person stand in front and teach. That's literally the system that has gone on for years and years, decades and decades and decades, in spite of all the change that we see in the world today. Fashion comes and goes. Some fashion that was a thing in the 70s and the 80s, it's coming back. But there was a time it wasn't a thing, and we don't know, 10 years from now, it will completely be a different type of fashion, right? But the education system just kind of stays the same. Not much has changed within that system, right? So I believe that artificial intelligence is challenging that, and there's a lot of discomfort with that from the education system, because if we are to embrace this, then what's the use of a teacher if ChatGPT can?
That's actually where I want to go next.
Yeah, what's the use of a teacher if ChatGPT can do this?
It's sounding to me, Nikki, like you're saying that the two polar opposites are both dangerous. One, the complete isolation from technology is dangerous, but also the other is a complete integration or submersion is also equally as dangerous. So we almost want to play somewhere in the middle. So what does that mean then for teachers? I mean, just the way we educate as well. If you've seen it, I mean, everything we've been seeing it from news presenters to actual facilitators and strategists on stages to all other things that have been able to be shown in robotic form or actually represented in robotic form. What do you think then the role of the teacher becomes? Do you think artificial intelligence is going to get to a place sooner than later where a teacher actually is not needed altogether?
I think that the role of a teacher is going to change because, again, like I said, most of the information that the teacher will be giving students anyway, they can find it online, right? ChatGPT can give them. So the role of a teacher is going to be more like a mentor or a guidance, and perhaps teaching these kids how to analyze whatever these AI systems give back to the students, right? And I think that is a critical skill for not just students, for anyone to have today, to be able to assess, look at this, whatever these AI systems give you, whatever output they give you, so that you can be able to look at it with critical thinking, with a fine comb, so to say, and be able to pick out, is this right? Is this information right? Does this tie in what I'm trying to present? Because there's something that I call AI stupidity, right? Which is the idea of whatever AI gives people, they take it as gospel, right? They don't fact check, they don't do their own research. They just say, oh, I guess if it came from AI, it must be right. For me, that is AI stupidity, right? I think that the role of a teacher needs now to evolve or transition more into a mentor to teach kids critical thinking, teaching kids how to spot AI hallucination, so to say, because this system do make up things that don't exist anyway. And if you have been paying attention, I'm sure that you might have heard the story of the South African lawyer who was fined because he presented court cases in court that never existed because because he used ChatGPT to come up with this, and ChatGPT spit up these cases that they had existed, and he presented them in court without fact checking, and the judge had to be like, what?
There was no such case.
What? This didn't happen, right? Yeah. And this caused a big conversation around, should we be using these tools? And for me, I mean, I've been asked that question even in some of my keynotes, and the answer is always yes. In my opinion, that was not entirely a machine error. It's human error.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because as a lawyer, you should be able to get this, whatever output that the system gave you, to go through it, fact check, is this information right? Do your own research so that everything aligns with whatever the system gives you, right? So that's one of the missing skill today in the workforce, even from now on going into the future. And if we don't teach our kids right from the education system, the same mistakes will continue to happen where they don't question anything that artificial intelligence gives them. Not just artificial intelligence, they don't have the capacity to question anything that they see online, because with the rise of artificial intelligence, so is also the rise of fake news, deep fake videos, things that never exist, that seemed like it existed, but is literally generated using AI, using a prompt. Yeah. So if we are not able, if the education system doesn't transition to teaching kids critical thinking and how to spot these things within the AI systems, I think that is a failure on the part of education to continue to just carry education the way it's always been, by indoctrinating and just pouring knowledge. Knowledge is not what's missing today in our world. There's a lot of knowledge we have in our fingertips today. There's a quote, I think, by Benjamin Franklin, who said, "We are all born ignorant, but it takes a great deal of effort to remain stupid in this age and time," right? Because we have that much knowledge at our fingertips. So I think that the kids know how to get the knowledge, but it is how to sift through that knowledge to get what is the right information. That is the missing link in education today. The ability to critically look at things and say, this is right, this is not right, and all of that.
Yeah. Did you know that according to the World Health Organization, in Africa, 11 out of every 100,000 people die by suicide? That is higher than the global average of 9 out of every 100,000 people. That means that more people on the African continent are choosing to take their lives when life gets confusing, when life gets frustrating, when things are sad and they don't know what to do. And this is the reason why the Unlearning Children Foundation exists, because unlearning is not just for adults around shifting preconceived notions, but it's also for children. It's for young people. Imagine if you and I were taught from an early age to challenge our perspectives around the world, to see things differently, to manage our own mental health. And truly, Nikki, the problems of today are almost the... what do I call it? It's almost like they're born off of the solutions of yesterday. And when a solution comes up, it gives rise to actual issues that tomorrow's band of society is going to have to face. Right. But this is the thing about education, is education almost needs to speak to what the beautiful innovations of yesterday have now given us as a problem. How do we address some of those things? And I like that you so beautifully spoke to that. It's our capacity to think critically, to question, to unlearn, and to go, I get that this video looks like Nikki, but
Right.
let me just question this, you know?
Right.
Let me not take it as
Right.
gospel, because this is what we're seeing. Everything from our favorite musicians
Yeah.
to our favorite speakers who have long passed are still creating content on YouTube, and you're going, but it's been 10 years. How is there a new video? And you can hear that it's been artificially generated. But nobody's saying anything. And for me, that always brings about the question of how regulation always falls behind innovation.
Right.
We innovate first, and then, you know, and then the public sector's running after to go, okay, no, we need to regulate this. But we're already years ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know what your sort of research and thinking is around whether we're ever going to be able to close that gap, because we do have, and this example of the lawyer in South Africa is just one example of the global cases we have around what do we do with AI in the legal system. We can't sue AI because it's just technology. So what do we actually do in that case?
When it comes to regulation and even what constitutes crime in this ancient time, there is such a thin line to define it, and many of the legal system or the law enforcement systems in any country, I don't think anyone has figured that out yet, right? Because now, for example, scammers have gone digital, right? Or let's just put it as criminals have gone digital. They are also leveraging these tools to create havoc digitally. If I am standing at a traffic light and someone snatched my handbag, it is easy for the police officers to chase that person down, charge them with a crime, and say, oh, this is what you did, and you're going to face this jail time or this jail time. That is what the law knows as defining a crime today. But if someone snatched my wallet digitally, I'm called, oh, you're stupid for falling into that, right? I, the victim, I'm being made fun of. Like, how could you have fallen prey to a scam online? How could you have given your details online? How stupid are you to trust someone online, right? But if it is in the physical world, the law knows how to handle that. But once it transitions into the digital world, the law is literally still figuring out, how do we handle this? Is this even a crime? But yet, much bigger crime and much heavier wallets are being snatched digitally. And so we don't know how this is going to be, that gap honestly is going to be closed. Talking to you here, I don't have all the answers. Many of the people, even within the AI space, we don't have all the answers. We're finding things as they go, as things evolve. Okay, to be honest, we have more questions than answers, right? Because okay, what makes a crime? How do you charge when someone uses AI and defame another person? Do you charge the person who created the tool, or do you charge the company itself? So these are regulations that we are all throwing questions out there, and to be honest, no answers are coming back to know, okay, the actual criminal, is it the people who designed this software, or is it the person who took the software and used it? And if it's the person, okay, how do we even find this person who took the software and use it, right? So closing the gap in terms of regulation is a big deal. When it comes to artificial intelligence, some countries are figuring it out. Some countries are way ahead of others. When it comes to Africa as a whole, we are way behind. We are still even looking at what is ChatGPT, talk of regulating it, right? I attended an AI summit early in the year, and there was someone from the government talking about they have plans to submit an AI legislation proposal to Parliament sometime in 2025. And I'm sitting there with my mouth open. I'm like, you still planning to submit it to Parliament? Are you serious? I'm thinking like, we're in 2025. When was ChatGPT released? When did AI become a tool for everyone? When was AI democratized? And 2 to 3 years later, we're still talking about thinking of submitting paper to Parliament. Okay, let's say finally they submit sometime in 2025, like it was said. How long is Parliament going to take to approve? Or to say, oh, we don't want this. I mean, it's a long process. But while they are taking their time and going through the paper or writing through all of, the world is moving forward. Many of the crimes are being committed. Many of the things that should be regulated are being left behind. So again, there are more questions than answers, but nonetheless, we are navigating it and hoping that the policymakers wake up fast enough, especially in a continent like Africa, to regulate this, to say, okay, this is what constitutes a crime. This is where we don't want you people to touch it. Don't use it. Don't use AI for so and so and so. This is where we draw the line. Until that comes, for now, I guess for the most part, we are on our own. It's so sadly to say, but that's what it looks like. We're on our own, and it's not just in Africa. Trust me, it's
global.
It's global. They're still figuring out how do we regulate this. On one hand, also there are those that don't want it to be regulated because they feel like you're putting a cap on innovation, right? So there are two schools of thought to this. Like, leave it open, like let humanity experiment with this thing. And there's the other school of thought, like no, we need to put some regulations around this, which both of them have a point, though. Definitely. I don't even know where I fall yet. Should it be left open? Should it be regulated? But those that are against, regulation, those that are against it being regulated, I get their point. Because if you regulate too much, you also put a stop to human progress and innovation in a way. But we'll see what happens.
It's that integration, isn't it, Nikki, between the two, especially. And I don't even want to say early days because, early days in the capacity of AI.
No, this is definitely early days. This is early days.
We almost do want to give and hold back and give and hold back and almost allow an integration of the two. You mentioned a little bit earlier on that we're on our own, and I almost want to use that in a positive front to bring the conversation back to our agency. Because with parents, we really are. A lot of the time we can feel, especially after this regulation conversation, I can imagine everyone's going, oh my goodness, now what? We're screwed, oh my goodness. But no, we are on our own, as in we have agency. That's how I interpret it. And if we come right back to this conversation around our young people and parents creating, at least at the level that they can, whatever locus of control or wherever their control is, there are things that they can do, and I want us to talk about that. Quite recently, speaking to the openness, a CEO at OpenAI, founded OpenAI, Sam Altman, recently released a statement saying that ChatGPT, a lot of young people inform ChatGPT about everything in their lives. He even said that young people don't make a decision without consulting ChatGPT, which is true. And if you understand how your Gen Zs and your Gen As are using ChatGPT, you know that to be true. Because it's everything from, I'm about to have my cornflakes this morning. What are the, is this a good decision based on what I told you yesterday about me trying to lose weight and what my boyfriend said the other day? Because ChatGPT already knows your boyfriend, knows what your boyfriend likes, knows that you're trying to lose weight, knows yesterday what you ate for lunch. All of this data that AI has access to, and then completely knowing who we are and really getting to a place, and we know that ChatGPT isn't making money, they're losing money by the truckloads. But the fact that they have access to so much of our children's data is scary, because it means that if, and knock on wood, there's no wood here, but knock on wood somewhere, when an individual does pass, this could literally become the technology that underpins being able to keep people alive as machines. Because if I already have so much of your patterns and how you think and what your life is, I can literally have you there for another 20 years just making the same comments and being the same person. Using all of these algorithms and patterns that I foresee. So let's talk now in the context of all of that. A parent who is aware of what they're facing, what now? What are some of the things that they can have access to? Where is their agency today in this moment, in the early stages of AI? So, how do you support the Unlearning Children Foundation? If you are passionate about youth mental health and you're going, Zanele, sign me up, I want to help, there are a few different ways that you can support us. One, you can be a contributor through our Back a Buddy campaign, and we'll share with you the link. If you go over to theunlearners.com under the foundation tab, that's where you can find our link to contribute through Back a Buddy. There, whatever your pocket says, that's what you can contribute. There is absolutely no pressure. 2, you can contribute as a snack pack partner. Now, like I mentioned, that during our unlearning days, right at the end, we end off these school workshops with sharing a little snack pack with each of our learners. If you are an organization, you're a retailer, or just an individual that is passionate about contributing in this way, you can share your contribution by being a snack pack partner. This means that you contribute the snack packs that we distribute at the end of our mental health workshops. 3, the third and final way that you can contribute to the Unlearners is you can actually be an official partner of the foundation. What this means is that on an ongoing basis, if you find that your particular vision, theme, ethos of your organization aligns with youth mental health and especially the fight against suicide, partner with us on a consistent basis, whether it's monthly or yearly. You can contribute what your organization is aligned to support the key expenses and the work that the Unlearning Children Foundation does. Finally, and an extra fourth one, is be a volunteer. We are across the continent of Africa and we can't wait to work with passionate individuals who are both excited about unlearning but also about youth mental health. So reach out to us. Go over to theunlearners.com and go over to the foundation tab, and that's where you can reach out to us to find out how you can volunteer when we're going to be on your part or in your part of Africa next. We can't wait to work with you.
That's really a big one to unpack, right? I want us to look at it in two ways. Because on one hand, when many people hear about artificial intelligence, they immediately go into the fear mode. Like, yes, some people are excited about it, like me, but most people, they just approach it from the basis of fear. And if you approach artificial intelligence that way, just looking at it as something that is bad, something that is coming to destroy humanity, something that is coming to take away from humanity, you somehow miss out on the opportunities on the good side of it, right? My upcoming book it's called Humanity's Greatest Frenemy, right? Because AI is not just one thing. AI is a friend, AI is the enemy at the same time, right? AI is a double-edged sword, and I'm looking at the different dualities of this new technology and the complexities of it. And so one of the things that I'm highlighting even in the book is the idea of this fear-based idea, which comes from the Terminator model of AI, so to say, right? Because that's what most people think about when they think about AI. Oh, the Terminator is going to take over the world, Skynet and all of that. So that is just one model of artificial intelligence. And in the book, I'm talking about one model of artificial intelligence, which is the Terminator model. Yes, it's a reality that can come to pass. But on the other hand, there's also the Iron Man model of artificial intelligence, right? Which speaks to, when you look at, for those who have watched the Iron Man movie, when Tony Stark puts on the suit, it enhances him. It makes him 10x more powerful, faster, and he can do things that a human being on its own cannot achieve. So on one hand, AI is that Iron Man suit that you and I can put on, parents can put on, whoever can put on, and it enhances them, right? But on the other hand, many people are approaching it only from the Terminator model and looking at it only from what AI is coming to take away from us, and forgetting that this is actually a tool that can make your life much easier, much better. You speak earlier about kids that are not doing anything without asking artificial intelligence. In my opinion, that is actually a good thing, right? Even though we're concerned about the data, this data is being harvested about these people and all of that, but on one hand, it's a good thing because the older generation is using AI. Sam Altman spoke to this as well, where he said the older generation is using it as a Google replacement. But the young generation, the Gen Zs, for them it's an operating system, right? So they go into these models and they really ask deep questions, everything about their lives and all of that, and they get much more refine answers, so to say, to the problem or solutions, refine solutions to the problems that they are facing. But meanwhile, the older generation is using it like this is just another Google, but right? It's almost like having the best car and you don't know how to drive it, or what are the functionalities in this car, how do you really enjoy it, right? So from the older generation perspective, they are not really using all the functionalities of artificial intelligence. But the young people are going deep in on this. Yes, we're concerned about data. And to take some sort of a detour here, even without artificial intelligence, right? The idea of privacy is an illusion, because as long as you have a cell phone, a smartphone, and you're on the internet, everything about you can be traced. Your patterns and all of that. We knew it, that marketers are using our data, and these systems are eardropping on our conversations, and they're marketing these things to us. You have a conversation on WhatsApp with a friend, and suddenly things start popping on you, right? So take AI aside, we have been experiencing some of these things, right? And so because you're online, you're on Facebook, you're on these social media platforms, privacy is a thing of the past. They know you. They know what you like. Whatever you click like on Facebook, they know you. Now, AI has just enhanced that to like 10x, right? So yeah, we have these things. So I think maybe, just maybe, we should be focusing on what we can control, which is your relationship with these systems, rather than, oh, my data, and oh, they know so much about me. You have a cell phone. The moment you put it, AI is embedded on that thing. It knows when you are sad. It knows when you are happy. It can read your mood. It can do all of that. So if you're too concerned more on the aspect of these data and all of that, I think the best way is to go off grid completely. That is your safest bet. But if you are going to be on these systems, then rather switch, make like a mental switch, a perspective, and rather start looking at it like, okay, while the devil is here, how does it, in what ways can it better my life, right?
Yeah.
In what ways can I use it to enhance my life? Because while you are worrying about your data, and while you are worrying about, oh, the Terminator is coming to take away humanity, there's another group of people that are not looking at it from that perspective. They are using it to enhance their work. They are using it to finish project faster. They are using it to design certain things that a human mind could not imagine it by themselves. They are using it they're leveraging this technology, and they are moving ahead.
Yeah.
So let's focus on what we can control, and the regulation part, well, the policymakers will handle that. As far as data is concerned, God help us. Okay, share very little of your data online if you can. That's the part you can control, right? Don't type in your ID number on ChatGPT. It's not right to do that. So the parts that you can control them. Don't put in your passport number on ChatGPT. Don't type your bank account into ChatGPT. Don't write your bank code because you want a certain question from ChatGPT. Don't put those type of personal details on ChatGPT. Don't put your birthday on ChatGPT. That's the part you can control. The other part you can't. Right, so we focus on what we can control, and then we hope for the best, that these systems don't turn against us at some point, right? And these, again, back to what parents can do, is to teach kids these things. Don't put your birthday. If you're asking a question that involves your family or yourself, don't put things like personal details like your birthday, your maybe even your real names. In my case, it knows my real name because I needed to train it to understand who Nikki is and what Nikki does, right? But for kids, don't put your real names there. Don't put your family address, your home address or something, right? Don't put personal details. Don't share your family names. Don't share your brother's name. Don't share your sister's. Don't go and say, oh, my brother is 5 months and his name is this, and he likes to cry too much. So what should I do? You know, kids innocently can put all of these details to these systems. And again, you say, it's data for the company. And do we need so young kids' data to be out there like that? So the parents can teach kids this basic digital hygiene, so to say, right? This basic digital hygiene. Don't put your personal details online. And again, we hope for the best because we don't have all the answers.
Yeah. I like that. I like the idea of taking charge or
Right.
agency of what you can control.
Right.
And in understanding that there's a big part of it is understanding what you're trying to achieve and then allowing the technology or allowing ChatGPT or whatever AI you're using to support in that process. I think the one thing that's going to stick for me, Nikki, is the Iron Man versus the Terminator. Oh, that's so powerful.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking now specifically about Iron Man, and like you said, it's the enhancement of
Yeah,
capability, and thinking that really individuals we're using it to have better relationships, to smash glass ceilings at work, to, like you said, be more efficient, to do more in less time, all of these things, productivity. And it is about how you view it and how you then use it. So if I'm trying to achieve this, what do I want my life to look like?
Right.
And how do I then integrate AI to support my end that I want to create alongside that protection element, right? Because
Exactly.
that's also important here and there as far as we can. Last thing I want to really quickly, Nikki, is talking about one of the things you said that made me laugh but also made me a little bit nervous is we just hope for the best and we just hope it doesn't turn. Totally right.
Yeah.
But I want to speak about, to close off this conversation, is how do individuals take their agency as far as the direction that AI takes? Because we are literally at a watershed moment when it comes to artificial intelligence and how it could potentially influence society and the global economy and everything else, really. So what does it look like for an individual to take agency around where AI could go? How do we almost become little advocates in our own little corners of the world? Really quickly to close us off.
I love that question. And what I would say is this: just be a decent human being. Let me unpack that. Because whatever you are putting out there, the AI companies are taking that and training the AI with it. So if you are a nasty person, you are training AI to be nasty. If you are a person who lacks integrity, you are training AI. Because if you, especially those who put these things online, right? You go on Twitter and you run your mouth, you run your mouth, you run your mouth. That's the most toxic platform. We all know it, right? All of that data you're putting out there is being used to train artificial intelligence. So when people are concerned about artificial intelligence going rogue tomorrow and turning against humans, I'm like, it is learning from us, right? This is the only technology in the history of technology that is learning from humans. Every other technology, we've had to learn it. But this is learning us. It's learning how humans behave. So what type of a human are you? Are you a decent human being? Are you a person with integrity? Are you a person who respects others? Are you a person who is open-minded? You know? Do you have bias embedded in you? You are training these systems, right? Again, to my point of this is the only technology that is learning humans instead of humans learning it. Let's look at, for example, when Microsoft Word or Excel came into the market, right? We had to go and learn, how do you do this? To this day, some of the functions in Excel, I have no idea how it works, right? I still cannot figure some of the shortcuts out. But with AI, it is the easiest technology actually to use on one hand, because you don't need to, there are no commands for you to really master in that way, except when it comes to prompting, knowing how to ask these questions. So when you look in a way, AI also is the easiest technology in the history of technology for humanity to learn. And it becomes much more easier. Why? Because it is learning us. It learns how I behave. It learns how I talk. It learns my tone. It learns my mannerism. It learns my patterns. And it simply gives them back to me. And I'm like, oh, wow. But I literally taught this. Yeah. I'm training it, right? So you and I, in our own little corner, know that you are contributing to what AI becomes tomorrow. Because if you are putting content out there that is hurting the next person, you are also training AI in a way to hurt the next person. So understanding that this system is not just a system that fell from the sky, it is literally learning how to behave from you and I. Once you are conscious of that, AI is learning how to behave from you. I think that people will approach the DNA they're living in the digital space differently. Knowing, okay, I guess if AI goes bad tomorrow, I contributed to this. You know, the whole anger you've been pouring on social media. I mean, people type horrible things behind their keyboards and leave them in the digital space. When these AI companies come to take data to go train, they don't check which one is which is the most horrible. Let's separate. They just take everything and go and train these systems with it, right? So these systems are aware of the dark side of humans and the good side of humans. So on your part and on my part, just make sure that the data, the digital footprints you're leaving out there, it is something that if AI learns it, it can help humanity. The field and the nastiness you've been putting out there, for those who have been doing it, maybe it's time for you to rethink. Should I be this angry on Twitter all the time? Because AI is learning how to be angry as well. And then when it turns on us, we'll be like, oh, I thought this was a machine. Well, the machine learned from you. And I guess for me, that would be the best response to that on just make sure that you are a decent human being. It will benefit not just the person next to you, it will benefit the AI systems, it will benefit the softwares, it will benefit the AI companies that are harvesting our data without our permission, of course, but it will benefit them if the data we are putting out there is of good to humanity.
Yeah, and future generations that
and
are
future generations, because again, so good, because thank you for bringing that up, because you who is so nasty online, you're going to have kids and they're using your nastiness to train these AI systems. If it turns, God forbid, if it turns on humanity tomorrow, even if you're no longer here, your children pay the price because they learn this system learn how to be nasty from their dad or from their mom or from their uncle, you know? So these are things that as humans, we need to really think. Nothing on they say don't wash your dirty laundry digitally, right? Because it never dries. AI amplifies that.
Wow, I like that. Say that again, please.
Do not wash your dirty laundry online because it's never going to dry. AI is just going to take that and amplifies it.
Wow, what a note to close off on. A teacher of mine used to say MYOB, mind your own business. Everybody sweep your own stoop. If you sweep the front of your house, the whole world is going to be clean. And this is exactly it. I think that there's nothing more practical than that, Nikki. I mean, I was expecting a 3-step checklist, 5 steps to this, 10 steps. Literally, it's you. There's no one else. There's no one else out there that's going to come in and clean everything up. There's no one out there that's going to make sure that AI doesn't attack or turn into any kind of monster. It's you and I. Yeah. That's who's creating it. That's who's contributing to it. That's who's training it. It's us.
We are all part of this. We are co-creating this. Truly. The reason that AI gives us responses and we go like, wow, it sounds like human. Because it's actually learning from humans.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's learning, you and I. So when you go, oh, wow, it sounds human, because it's learning from you.
Yeah.
It is not Excel where you have to go and learn from Microsoft and go through their tools on how to use it. This is completely different. It is learning us. So make sure that what it is learning from you is what will benefit humanity. So simple as that.
Yeah, be a decent human being, for Pete's sake. Be a decent human being. Nikki, wow, this has just been absolutely lovely. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Zanile. Thank you for having me.
Oh, wonderful. That was Nicky Verd, author, futurist, and just all-round phenomenal human being. I would strongly encourage that you go over, stalk her on the socials, find where she is, and follow the advice, follow the tips and the insights from this episode, and more importantly, share it. Because the more of us know, the more of us understand, then we can take urgency and really rewrite the future we want to have, but also the future we want future generations to experience. And that's really the most important thing as we look into a future that is more digitally integrated than what we have today. And we have what we have been calling bionic human beings that are an integration of tech and human. Thank you so much, Unlearners, for tuning into this episode of the Unlearners podcast. It's been a pleasure having you. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
The Unlearners. Learn, change, learn, change. The Unlearners. Learn, change, grow.